Hello my dear friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Naveen Kumar. I have promised you to start a new segment and definitely I am working on it. It's taking a bit time since there is a lot of technicalities in this, like shooting, recording, stitching and again editing. So it's taking a little bit time. But till then I will be continuing with our regular segment, that is knowledge sharing and expertise subjects wise. Let us go with today's subject. Let us focus on method statements. Method statements in construction are as important as a construction part. How, why, and are they really so important, or are they considered as a hindrance or a time delaying activity, or are they beneficial for the construction progress or achievement point of view? So when we say a new topic, first we would like to understand the definition of it. So what do you mean by method statement? Method statement is nothing but a written document on how the particular activity to be carried or the process will be carried or undertaken, the detailing or you can say step by step procedures will be involved in it, will be mentioned in it, and the document will be vetted or approved by the client or end user or consultant. Generally, the final approving authority will be shared between project manager and quality control manager and safety manager jointly. Now, what does this method statement consist of? Mainly, when we say method statement, first thing it comes in our mind is the process of work. But to start the process, what is important? The tools, the manpower involved, the hierarchy which is involved for that particular activity, and mainly the safety or hazard analysis or risk analysis for that particular activity, and lastly is your inspection and test plan, which will mention what are all the inspections and what are the stages of testing are required, and the checklists. Apart from that also, as per standard guidelines, the method statement is been prepared and approved for the particular activity by the approving authority. So, what are the fundamental sections involved in the method statement or to be included in the method statement? First is very important: name of the project, client name of the project, and contractor's name or subcontractor's name of the project. In a project management concept, we mention at the stakeholders, the key stakeholders of the projects to be mentioned. Why? Because obviously to keep a transparency and to keep a recorded information that who, for whom, and when and how, all those things to be mentioned in that. Next comes project detail. Project detail means what is the project and what is the scope of the project overall to be mentioned. The project details, or in other things, the list and description of the subdivided activities for this particular activity for which the method statement is getting generated or being generated. Next comes is title of the method statement. Generally it will be mentioned in a bold because it is a you can say identification of the method statement or identity of the method statement. So the name of the method statement, the title of the method statement should be the activity name. For example, it will be method statement for brickwork, method statement for concreting, method statement for say reinforced concrete, or method statement for drainage wall or block wall, those kind of the activities. Now this this title must also have a specific place of the activity in case of the same activity being carried out in a different places, in a different acceptance criteria or different specifications. When you say a method statement to be included with a place or a particular package with the specific activity, that means when you say method statement for concreting. Now the concreting, as you all know, the concreting will be can be subdivided into PCC, RCC and any other if it is applicable. Now if you say only concreting, the picture will not be so clear to the client or to the auditor or to anyone who is reviewing or referring it. So the method statement should be clearly mentioned that method statement for plain cement concrete or PCC or RCC. Parallelly, method statement for reinforced cement concrete or RCC or CC block work or masonry work, AAC aerated concrete block work or masonry work. So to make a clear picture to the client or a referring supervisor or engineer. Once the title is done, next comes the tools, list of tools, list of equipments to be used, list of various designation staff are involved. Obviously it will be from project manager till the supervisor level. Generally the designation with their roles and responsibilities dedicatedly for this specific activity to be mentioned. Once the tools and equipment list is over, next comes is references. Yes, references is vital information to be shared with client. It's not a secret, but it's a vital, means important, very important. What is that? The references means while preparing the activity, while conducting the while starting the activity, what are the references or codal references or specification references you have referred in generation of this method statement. There are various codes, plethora of codes are available across world. So as per which code you are preparing this method statement, as per which specification clause you are generating this method statement, as per which standard or code or reference or any kind of publications or papers you are generating this method statement is important data to be shared with client, so that the client will have a clear picture while reviewing this. After this, the next comes very important part is your working arrangements before starting the activity. Arrangements includes your stacking of material, your storage of materials, any surface dressing or surface cleaning to be done, subsurface preparation, all this will come as an arrangement before starting the activity. Once your arrangement is done, next starts the methodology of the work. Methodology should always start from basic level and it should be written in the easiest language, because this will be referred by your juniors and sometimes the supervisory level who are not as literate as you. The method statement generally prepared by the execution engineer or quality assurance staff in coordination with execution engineer and safety engineer, but it should be completely reviewed and approved by the project manager and the quality manager before it is proposal to the client for approval. Now, okay, we have done the methodology of work. Now methodology must contain some pictorial presentation if it is required, line sketches or diagrams if required. See, why I am telling you pictorial presentation and line sketch, you should always consider the fact that this method statement is going to be referred by the juniors and the lower level staff, or sometimes a senior level worker or labor. What happens if you make it so difficult English, or so theoretical English or theoretical subject, the labor class or the supervisor class, they will not be able to understand what you want to say or what you want to refer to start the work or to perform the activity. It should be very easy to understand language. The best way to express your method statement is through pictorial presentations. It's always preferred. Once your method statement is clear, it is understood and the picture is clear, then comes your inspection testing plan. Now, what do you mean by inspection testing plan? Inspection and test plan is always considered as a ITP, which is nothing but the stages and criteria of an inspection. Definitely I will share somewhere the template of ITP. The minimum content should be there in the ITP. The activity name, maybe it may be a documentation, maybe a raw material, maybe a storage, maybe a finishing or handover. Okay, and the involvement of the agencies. Sometimes the third party laboratory will be involved in the activity like testing or something. Then sometimes the client will be involved for witnessing level. Sometimes client doesn't want witness, they want to only have a random review of the document. Sometimes client may approve or hold the work if they are not satisfied with the particular activity. Then you have to mention the role of the agency very clearly in the inspection test plan. Generally or commonly, some contractors use C like check, W as witness and R as review, or RW is random witness. Okay, there are some nomenclature which you can mutually agree and discuss before submittal for approval, but mainly it should be a mutual agreement between the client and contractor for particular inspections and tests. Okay, then comes the checklist. Checklist is nothing but applicable checks to be carried out during the particular activity happening. So the checklist generally or commonly will be prepared in terms of your ITP. So if ITP says the documents reviewed, GFC or drawings reviewed, all those things, you can mention that as a checklist and you can consider it for your activity witness or activity sign off. But the major thing or very important thing which you have to consider is all the checklist must be signed immediately. Immediately the inspection is completed or as soon as the inspection is completed, to have a clear record without any ambiguity between contractor and client. Once the checklist is attached, the last but not the least comes the hazard analysis or risk analysis. Generally it called as a HERA, that is hazard identification and risk analysis. Some people call it only RA, or some call as a HRA, that is hazard and risk analysis. Whatever you consider in your particular project which is designated by client. Now that sheet is very important to analyze, to help the safety department analyze what are the risks or what are the hazards involved in the particular activity. If those are analyzed, the safety department can guide and recommend the safe working measures in terms of the methodology. Okay, so that is why we have to identify the risk or hazards involved in the particular activity. For example, let us consider the concreting activity. Now, concrete itself is hazardous for our bare hands. If you take your concrete in your bare hands, definitely it is not good for skin. This is a hazard. Now, what are the hazard analysis? You have identified the hazard. Now, how you will mitigate that? You will say that we will use a hand gloves, or you will use a gumboot instead of your normal safety shoes while concreting, or you will the concrete, when the concrete pouring is going on, the splashes may damage the eyes, so you will wear a safety goggles for handling concreting process. So this kind of minor to minor hazards and risks you have to identify. Working at height, working with electrical equipment or digital equipment for vibrators, all those things comes under hazards, risk, and based on that you have to identify and you have to mention what are the measures you are going to take to mitigate this kind of hazards and risks. So that is HERA, that is hazard identification and risk analysis, to be attached. Once this is all done, some contractors or some clients prefer to attach the drawings, and it is always suggested and recommended. Why? There are pros and cons of attaching this. Generally, method statements will be prepared before the start of activity, but unfortunately many times drawing gets revised, so contractor doesn't put drawings in every activity or every method statements, but it's always preferred to attach. Why? See, nowadays we are all going digital, and many areas we have many softwares like Econex and other Construction Pro or those kind of apps or softwares to maintain the data like drawings, approvals, all those things. Many times we don't have drawings ready reckoner to review the method statement. Many times we don't have access directly to technical specification of the particular activity while reviewing the method statement. So what we should do, the very important thing we should do is the drawings and specification copies. If we attach, it will be easy to review, easy to identify the things involved. Yes, I agree that drawings, if you attach today, it will be a revision 1 or revision 0, which will eventually turn into revision 2 or revision 3 the time the work is on the peak or about to complete. And definitely you will say that I am not working with the present or latest drawing or something. But contractor shall not take benefit of this drawing as a GFC. GFC is different. This drawing is just to give a fair idea or a fair reference to the client that which drawing to be referred or which activity and what are the basic scopes involved in this. Same way, the specification will give the client a fair picture that are you adhering to the technical specification or tender specification which agreed with the client. Right? Now, let us go to the next section, which are recommended but not mandatory. What are such documents which are recommended but not mandatory? That is, one is earlier submittals. Sometimes what happens, the drawing revises, your method statement will revise or scope will revise or ITP may revise. So, if you are submitting the ITP, revised ITP, say R1 or R2, you need not to go to submit an entire MDS or method statement for just an ITP. So, it is always recommended but not mandatory. Same way, some references of good working practices for other projects or earlier projects. Similarly, some code copies. Generally, everyone is carrying a digital codes right now, so you don't have to attach a separate code for that. International codes like BSEN or IS, people have access to that nowadays, or companies do have access of that. So no need to attach it, but if you attach, it will give a fair idea to client. Any work permits Work permit will have a separate procedures, hot work permit, height work permit. So it will have separate procedures. But yes, once if you have obtained it for a particular big project or big package, and in that sub activity if you want to attach it, it's up to you. It's always recommended but not mandatory. Then staff trainings, PPE list, machineries, shutdown procedure, lock off procedures, all those things are obviously you will be doing it in the process activity, but they are not mandatory to be mentioned in this method statement. But it is always recommended or suggested to mention it to give a clear picture or a final picture to the client. Now, you can see a flow chart of a method statement. I will not be explaining in detail of this because it varies from project to project. But this flow chart, what you are watching on your screen, is an ideal flow chart which is generally applicable for all the projects. This flow chart runs from generation of method statement till the approval of the method statement. Okay, the flow chart I don't have to explain you in detail because it's very easy method to understand. It is one of the strongest quality management system tool to be referred, and this will give you a clear picture. This will give a clear scenario that how the process of approval of method statement works. So what is the conclusion with this? What do we understand the importance of method statement? Yes, you got me. You have hit a bullseye. The method statements are very vital part of any activity. Method statement will give you 100% clear method and clear way forward the how activity to be done. How it gives a clear picture? My friends, you are working in India. When I say you are working in India, you are dealing with labor or workforce which came from agricultural background. Most probably they are from agricultural background or a very poor background, and many times unfortunately this is a very unorganized industry. So we get people who have nothing to do, so they came in construction background. Okay, construction industry. So one will be a mason, one will be a fitter, welder, all painter, all those things. So to give them a clear picture, we have to have one particular document which mentions how and when and what to do. Yes, how, when, what to do, who will clear, how it will get clear, and what next. This is what it gives you a path. What if it is not there? For example, we are building a cooling tower. Fortunately, I was working for a company for a cooling tower project, and I had almost 35 laborers or workforce working for that particular project. And the moment I completed that project, I was shifted to a building project. Now the cooling tower project was almost 100 meter vertical height, which was involved with high risk of working at height, and thinner most walls varying from 450 mm to 220 mm or 180 mm at one span wall, on a circular wall, core walls. Whereas building will have a different aspects itself. Same concrete, same procedure, but the way of working is different here. Here you don't have height working at that level, but you will have a precision and accuracy is more here, right? Because the succeeding activities will involve plastering, painting, which needs more and more accuracy, all those things. So just imagine if I use those concreting workforce here, will they able to perform? No. They need a clear picture. What is the height of concrete? What are the steel bending schedule? And what are the shuttering size? What is the shuttering size? All those things they need in detail, which will vary from project to project. So every project, every activity, you must have a written document which will show the path to this kind of workforce and supervisors. And that's why we need method statement, clear path indicator for the activity. I hope this method statement topic was useful for you, and it will help you to understand how the method statements will be prepared and what is its significance in the construction industry. With this, I would like to wrap up my video today, and definitely I will be looking forward for more likes, more views and more subscriptions for my videos. Keep me encouraging to prepare to make new videos on new topics. You also can suggest some of the topics which you want to understand and learn. With this, I say goodbye and sayonara for today. See you soon with a new segment and new videos.